have a very strong cover.
Damage on this this time around, but remember the utility and the experience from Suits is going to make this Suya pick actually great.
Yeah, at this point, I think there's very clear things that Influence Rage needs to do, right? They need to make sure they smother the growth because Suya being played by Suits is going to be really hard to deal with him. His level is going to be rising really fast.
Yeah, you can only kind of try and imagine where that level cap 25 break is going to come through for any one of the side of Entity 7. He could go over to the Dune to make it a lot more chunkier into those team fights, or it could go over to the Arlie to get that attack speed as well. So either of those heroes, I think it's going to be a deadly combo.
Yeah, and at the same time, Entity 7 doing really well for themselves to try and put pressure onto this Dharma. So Sony not exactly having the best start to the game, a lot of pressure applied on him. Right now, Cozy does get the steal on Tusk Boar Camp, and that's going to be pretty important because you want to slow Suits down as much as possible.
Yeah, but you can kind of see here that Suits is kind of holding out the ground on his own, trying to clear the waves for himself. But the boss and Petroni have taken a few blows here.
Yeah, for sure. Boss doing the standard early things, right? Making sure the lift step is going to be really important, cancelling out a couple of the moves so that he will be able to soak up some more damage for the team. And now Arashi, keeping eyes on it, probably will give it away. It does go into the hands of Cozy, so that's another stolen camp going to the side of Influence Rage.
Okay, potential here. Okay.
Yep, Invincible Warrior going to be placed down by Vanguard. He is all up in them. Here comes the stun as well. It's going to be First Blood, and it goes into Boss's hands. This is a huge start for Entity. A nice flash and a secondary kill. Universal Law lays down the pain, and Entity 7 take the lead.
They definitely say law and order has been placed onto the Gorge already, Kin. 2 minutes in with 2 kills up. That was definitely the start that Entity 7 was looking for against Influence Rage.
Yeah, if you take a look at the goal difference now, not too big at this point, but it's going to be super useful for the side of Entity 7. You're going to see this growth extremely hard in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that First Blood going over to Boss as well is just, that's the resources from that First Blood going in the right place. If it went over to like Arash 1 or something like that, it would have been a little bit more scary. But the fact that it's got over to Boss, it's definitely going into the right place, enabling the Arlie to try and lock in that Doomsday a little bit quicker. But I think it's probably really good here that the Arlie's gone for the physical defense boots.
Yep, and at the same time, right, they can't really put too much pressure because the wave clear on the side of Suits is pretty strong with the Universal Law.
Absolutely. He's able to clear those waves very quickly, and he's showing here that it's tried and tested methods, and no one's stopping that growth for the Suya, which is quite scary.
Yep, and at this point, right, the First Blood going into the hands of Boss, it's pretty detrimental to the side of Influence Rage because right now, he's going to be one level ahead of his counterpart Petroni, and based on what we have seen, looks like Petroni struggling to keep up with Boss at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say only 200 gold behind, but then all of a sudden we saw that Boss climbed up to that 2.3k from that 1.9 on the side of Influence Rage. But a very steady matchup into the Clash lane. We haven't really seen much going on up there just yet. We saw an early effort from Influence Rage, right, trying to go into the enemy jungle, trying to take a few of those camps, but they definitely got punished for it.
Yeah, exactly. And second kill of the game actually went into Suits' hands, right? And that's going to amplify his growth. So the EXP advantage, very huge. Suits, once he hits 15, not going to be a good side and a good story for the side of Influence Rage.
No, but definitely what fuels the story here is Dune making his way to that Tyrant. The neutral objectives are now on the Gorge, Kin. We could potentially see some team fights here.
Yeah, and based on this region, we might be expecting some steals. Bilal does have his smite. No, not going to be available at this point. The stun comes in, stun onto 3, and it's looking good for the side of Influence Rage. Can they finish the job? Here we go. There's nobody controlling Petroni. Damage is coming in. Universal Law going to lay down. Nobody dies except for Bilal, and it's going to be Boss once again as Entity. They're just not letting up.
Bro, Vanguard's clutching there. Like, he was taking so much damage. I was like, when's this guy gonna topple? And Doom was just like, nah, you know what? Just throw some more at me, baby. I've got Tyan on my side.
Yep, exactly. The heals from the healing him is making so much work for the side of Entity 7. And this is a great start, but bear in mind, 5 minutes in, it's nowhere near the mid-game and the state of the game just yet.
Yeah, there's a lot here that Influence Rage could do, right, to try and get a lead upon Entity 7, which we know they can do. They beat them 4-0 within the qualifier to get here. So what can they do right now, immediately, to try and tipple the scale?
Well, it looks like Entity 7 has learned quite a bit from that first experience in the qualifiers, right? They are controlling the map pretty well, and at this point, you know, I was kind of doubting the Arashi pick on the tie-in, but looks like it's working well, because the babysitting strategy, it's keeping boss alive, but giving the kills as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not doing too bad. It's definitely not giving any hindrance to the side of Entity 7, right? They are owning it. It's Suits in the mid lane. Like I was saying yesterday, bigging up Suits, being a notable player within the Honor of Kings scene for quite some time, and obviously being part of the Season 1 Invitational. Nice to see him back on the global stage once more, but you can kind of see why he's formed Entity 7 to try and get to that next stage, which is obviously KC play-ins, where they will eventually face Osiris or Tribe Gaming.
Yeah, so at this point, looks like, you know, the Clash lane, not too much action. They want to keep it safe, right? They don't want to allow that kind of a shift in momentum as well. So 9 of us unable to find an opening against Sony, and Sony likewise can't do the same.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of tip attack going up into the Clash lane, but Raikou here trying to steal this Crimson Golden.
Not going to happen at this point for the side of Entity 7. Can they get the kill? Raikou working hard, but it's not going to be enough. Here comes 9 of us. He's going to try and go on that 2v1 just to push them away. And at this point, Influence Rage, they get the red buff, but it went into the hands of Cozy. Not the best, you know, situation to have.
Yeah, definitely not where you'd allocate that if you had the choice, right, Ken? A mage get in at the Crimson Golem buff. If it was the Azure, hey, Hail Mary to you. But this time around, it definitely wasn't going into the right hands.
Well, nonetheless, it's still a small win, right? Better our members than a Vanguard himself.
Oh yeah, I mean, Patroni getting their own Crimson Golem. I mean, it would have been nice to get that onto Patroni, but he was obviously navigating that bottom side of the map. But 9 Novus here, maybe suffering a 2v1 here. We can see that Raikou's looking to pair that up and doing on the rotation.
Yep, a Vanguard actually keeping his eyes there. So I think this is going to be an important marker, right? Because at this point, with a minute to go for the Tyrant, the next Tyrant of the game, I think both teams want to make sure they are in good fighting form.
It's quite scary how this is already kind of changing to the side of Influence Rage, Kim, because they are able to take that T1 down into the farm lane, and you can kind of see from Entity 7, they are looking very sheepish going into this point, because going up to the 4-minute mark, they were definitely the head of the table, but right now, they're looking like they're sitting on stools.
Yeah, Cozy actually gets the Venomous Staff. This might change the fight pretty much, but on the top lane, it's a 2v1. Can he get the kill? Sony will suffer at the hands of Boss. Another big kill. This guy has 3 kills across the board. And here we go. He's working hard onto Patroni as well. Not going to happen. The Vanguard going to be chasing in. Here comes the backup. 9 of us. Unable to get the knockup, but there is one. Bilal going to use the Leaping Saber to escape. Defensive maneuvers all over the place. Nobody wants to die just yet, but here comes 9 of us again. Can he get the knockdown? Not going to happen. Here I'm going to stop Raikou for the moment, but it's all pressure for the side of Entity 7. They have full control so far.
Just look at Raikou. He's literally 2 levels ahead of a Vanguard right now. So you can kind of see why he's able just to soak so much damage going into these fights of Entity 7, kind of baiting them almost. And here could be another bait here.
Yeah, I think they want to play this extremely safely, but he might get surprised. Raikou caught in the middle of 3. Here comes the Universal Law as well. Invincible Warrior going to be dropped down. Where's the stun? Not going to hit the mark at this point. They have to back out. Entity 7, they don't want to risk too much.
No, I think if they lose Raikou here, it could mean neutral objectives go straight over to Entity 7, but Raikou's still back into the thick of it. We get that hell HP regen from his abilities there. When he throws the blade, he gets back that HP that he dishes out, but here we could be seeing a little bit of a grooming of the Azure Golem. It does go over to the side of Influence Rage still.
Yep, so Stolen, very good job at this point. But one main thing is that this Kaiser Raikou does have the Long Night Guardian, and that's not an ideal situation if you are from Entity 7.
Yes, a lot of tankiness coming through for Kaiser, and we've seen it from yesterday, right? He's able to soak so much damage, but also do a lot of damage. I can't believe which player it was, or remember correctly, but dealt a lot of damage, but also took it. But hey, here we are, kind of baiting a fight here.
Yep, they want to take this fight on the side of Influence Rage, right? Here we go. It is going to be Raikou. He catches onto 3. Here comes the Beast Mood as well, but nobody's dying just yet on Enter low. Can they survive? A Vanguard manages to turn it around, gets a kill. It's going to be Suits who gets the first one, but Petroni going to change the game at this point. There's too many life bars on the side of Influence Rage. They get the win here. 2 kills for 4. A big win for Influence Rage.
I loved how Petroni played that lung there. He used the ultimate very early in that interaction, allowed his teammates to whittle down the health of the side of Entity 7, and then when he found the time was right, he swooped back down to claim so many kills for himself there. A double kill for Petroni, which is what he's been literally lacking in this game. It now puts him 700 gold ahead of the Ali, so Boss actually losing out on a lot of gold.
Oh, hang on. Suits is going to be shut down there. A freebie coming out from Cozy. And this is a perfect start, right? And I would imagine for Entity 7, this is really frustrating because they had the lead in the early game and somehow Influence Rage just clawing their way back.
Yeah, it's just one of those tried and tested things, right, that we've seen quite a lot from some of the Brazilian teams and even some of the Malaysian teams where they may not have the solid early game, but they get their resources.
Oh, nice job! It's going to be 9 Norvas. He gets a sneak kill onto the mid of the side of Influence Rage, but that's all they're going to get. And at this point, Influence Rage, they don't care. They're going to go for the Shadow Tyrant. And there's nothing that Entity 7 can do about it at this point.
Yeah, I think the Shadow Tyrant's probably a good call here. Since they don't have a neutral objective just yet, you can kind of see Sony trying to feel out where they're going to go. Are they going to go towards that Tyrant, the Overlord, sorry, Shadow Overlord for themselves? Because they kind of need it. They need that split push.
Yeah, so far there's a big concern for me, which is there's not a lot of anti-regen coming out. The Venomous stuff is not yet in the hands of our mid Suits. But likewise, on the flip side, Cozy does have it, so I think that's what's really winning them the fights here.
Yeah, you can only really see the Blazing Cape come through to try and sort of nullify that HP regen, but like you said, Ken, if the Dune's not there, soaking all that damage, nowhere near the Kaiser, it kind of nullifies the effect.
Yep, and the backup from the damage is pretty sick coming in from Influence Rage. Here we go, they're going to try and protect this mid T1. Here we go, the knockup from the 9 of us. It's going to proc out the Infinite Vastness. Petroni is out of the fight, and this is the marker. Entity 7, can they get more damage in? All the stuns are missing. 9 of us still tanking it through. Here comes Suits as well on the back lines. It's going to be a kill. Boss, 1-for-1 trade at this point. Universal Law is going to be laid down. Boss is caught on the back lines. He is caught in no man's land here. It's a double kill coming in for the side of Sony, and they're turning the fight. Influence Rage will not be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice flank from Boss, right? We saw Petroni trying to go in whilst he was up in the air, trying to find a way in onto Boss, but it was a bit too late. Okay, some more. We have the Splendor come through.
Yep, it's going to be golden for them, and at this point, it's a turnaround. 4 members are trying to get the kill into the Vanguard. They will get it done, and Raikou finishes the job. Influence Rage takes another step forward.
Another step forward, and it seems a 1 step back for Entity 7, because like you were saying, Kin, okay, they're still not done here. Riku.
Yep, he's gonna try and push him away. At this point, Raikou does not really care. He has stolen the Azure Golem buff, and right now there's a lot more control on the side of Influence Rage, right? So they're gonna take a step back first. I think at this point, what they want to achieve is a little bit more wave management so they can start working on this Overlord.
But yeah, just looking at that gold graph, right, that really paints the tale of this game 1, right? It's just really backwards and forwards with that gold lead, and they're trying to do something here within the jungle. You can see that Raikou is trying to bait the side of Entity 7. It looks like it's working. Yep,
Raikou falling a bit low, but it doesn't matter too much at this point. They still have the availability of the Sleeping Savior, but the defense on the T1 is very important. Here comes the jump in as well. 9 of us in the middle against all 5 members. He's all alone. Where's the backup coming in from the side of Entity 7? No one's backing him up. He will give his life, and Influence Rage, they take that freebie.
That was a mutiny, right, kid? You saw there. They were all chilling around that T1. Didn't want it to fall, but they just left 9 Norvus here. Maybe here we could probably see a little bit of revenge for 9 Norvus as Influence Rage was trying to do a little bit more damage there. Trying to bait them back into a second team fight, but they're able to take another neutral objective, and it is the Shadow Overlord this time.
Yep, it's a big miscommunication coming in from the side of Entity 7, right? I think Lau is making so much more sense because not only is he giving them the shields, he's also dealing a lot of damage when he turns into a beast with his unbridled outrage. And it's working a little bit better, and at this point, Raikou, he's feeling he wants to go in for more. And here comes the miss. Divine Punishment going to be laid down. Here comes the Universal Law as well, but the shield is going to save him. Raikou has not expended. No, he has already expended his ultimate at this point. Here comes the opening. Can they do it on the side of Entity 7? He's falling low. Raikou needs to escape, but it's going to be a kill. Nobody has eyes onto Petroni. It's a double kill at this point. Triple as Petroni. He's running rampant, and he is in for it. Quadra kill. Influence Rage, and it's finally a pentakill. Influence Rage, they take this game by storm, and there's nothing that Entity 7 can do about it.
Wow, when you learn Honor of Kings, honestly, and you just know from one bad team fight, they can just take that game one and just